Alright guys, Evan Aldo here. Welcome back. If you enjoyed the content, smash the like button and check out the Aldo Empire Discord down below. So this is going to be like cryptocurrency, like we're at just a critical level. I want that to be one of the main kind of themes here. We're at just such a, I mean, see where this big support is. And this is for everything. This isn't just for Bitcoin. You know, this is for a lot of stuff. Let's go to a cleaner chart a little bit here and we could kind of go on the weekly here. And let's turn off market cipher A real quick. And let's just draw the horizontal line of just this huge, you know, area we're at. See right here that wick down, jumped up, lost that support. You were below that support for many months. You know, what is it? Almost let's see, 6 months, you know, over 6 months, about 9 months there. Jump back up, you know, rejected double top there. Now we're testing it yet again. I've had this prediction drawn out for a while here, guys, so I'm kind of proud. Going to keep that up on the weekly. This is kind of just what I think could potentially happen here. You know, correction at 300 weekly moving average. That's going to be, let's see if we can get that up. It's a 200. We're below the 200 too, which is a pretty bearish sign. The 200's at about 27 right now. And right there, let's see, 21 something. So it's about 21 something. And that's going to be a big place where I think we could dump to potentially in the coming months if we do lose this area. Now, let's talk about the debate of whether or not we could lose this area. And if we do, obviously, the other technical target is going to be, you know, if you go up from, see this kind of, you break down from here, you have a technical target, right around the spiral line 21. That could take months, obviously, but hey, we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens here. When we look down here, we look at these EMAs. Apologies if there's a lot of lines, but we look at these EMAs and they're turning gray. You know, they're turning from bright to gray right here. Pretty bearish, obviously. You know, from gray to bright right there, that was a big jump up. I mean, that's generally the theme of the market is based on a lot of these market cipher A EMAs on the 3-day. I mean, from here, you know, essentially pandemic was bearish, up, you know, straight bullish, bearish for a while, or yeah, bearish for a little bit, bullish, you know what I mean? Bullish, and then now we're getting bearish again, I feel like. Same general thing here, you know, same kind of jump up here. And, you know, generally see coming down, then you turn bearish, you know, then he came back up, but we're kind of at this point. You know, we're at generally this point. We could have a jump up. If it's like this, we had some wild jump up in October of 2019. Then he came back down. Very volatile time for crypto. So looking at that gets more bearish. When you look at these kind of snake eyes, gap to RSIs coming up, that's more bullish. That money flow still coming down, I would say that's more on a little bit the bear camp in my opinion. Now, money flow kind of coming up on the 2-day, not bad. Daily, red dot, would say that's more in the bear camp. So, you know, take it as you will. The 8-hour trigger wave to the downside, I would take that trigger wave more. These red X's too could, I mean, like that one was down, could kind of bring you down potentially some more. And right in the very short term, coming up, rejecting from this kind of area, this old, you know, local volume area low, rejecting from that. I would say in the likelihood in the short term could potentially come down lower to this 2-hour kind of support or resistance area. Big area price likes to mess around with a little bit. So keep an eye out for that. That could be the next potential place. In terms of a risky kind of weekend trade, oh man, you know, something like this could kind of work out. I do have some good trade setups in the Aldo Empire Discord. Me, CBZ, KMAC, and Atlanticor are in there, all providing you a lot of great stuff in there. So really good beginner, can be really great community to get into if you guys are interested. Also, if you want to try to trade, if you're an experienced trader, if you know what you're doing, check out latest promos. We're doing a pretty good promo with MEXC. You get a $200 trading bonus if you deposit $100 and do one futures trade. Really good odds of winning that. Same with FAIRDESK, but you could deposit any amount with FAIRDESK and the prize is $100. One person a week gets out with FAIRDESK. The MEXC one is ending on the 14th, I believe. PHEMEX is awesome as well. We're working on a new promo with them. We're going to do some Bitcoin giveaway pretty soon, so check that out. All links down below. Anyway, moving on from that, you know, right now, if we move on to Ethereum a bit, you know, kind of the same as Bitcoin in a lot of ways, you know, just hitting that kind of huge area. You know, if you would just draw the horizontal line here, you know, it's a make or break point. You know, if you break down, theoretically, if you break down from this kind of pocket, let's draw this little pocket. If you break down from this pocket, your next technical target is going to be around, you know, 13K, which is huge. That would probably be, in terms of a Wyckoff accumulation, that would be kind of your best, you know, your best kind of bet, because usually 1, 2, and then your third bottoms around would be around that 13K area, kind of a higher, you know, making a higher low here. That's kind of your best bet, I feel like. Could be wrong. Anything could happen, obviously. You know, don't you know, bet the farm on anything, but not financial advice, obviously. But, you know, coming down to these areas, you know, that's what we're looking at. And then the next area after that, you know, you got 1100 is pretty big. Then after that, it's, you know, 1000 and potentially lower. So that's what, you know, ultimately I'm looking at a bit here. That's ultimately what I'm looking at on the Ethereum chart for kind of the macro. And money flow potentially coming out more on the weekly. We could come back into the, it's interesting here in the green. You were in the green, then we came to the red, right down. Got choppy in that area, so I would expect some choppiness. You know, I'd expect some choppiness here. You know, continuation, red X on the 2-week. Looking at this historically, most likely you could kind of repeat something like that. Let's see where that would bring us to. That's the case for a lower low, potentially in December. Now, in 2019, Bitcoin bottomed out. Bitcoin and ETH bottomed out in December. So keep that in mind. That could be a significant area. November and December. Moving on to some lower time frames on ETH, you know, a lot of stuff obviously is kind of similar to Bitcoin. If we look at the 3-day brights coming into the, you know, brights coming into the gray right here, I actually wanted to look at that quickly on the 4-day just to see what's going on there. You have brights coming into the gray, which is a pretty bearish sign. If you look at, you know, kind of that area, big jump up. I mean, that tells you the main theme. That's the last time that happened was January 22. You know, 22 was a nightmare. It's not going to be that bad, I don't think, but obviously, you know, it could be months of bearishness from that. You know, that's generally what we could see here. And ultimately, if you look at a few other time frames, you got your VWAP coming down on your 2-day, daily coming down just like Bitcoin, rejecting from this old kind of, you know, volume area low, local volume area low, rejecting from that. Technical target, if you break down from kind of this area, which you are, is going to be around these wicks, which is, this is a huge area around 16, low 16s is a huge area. Let's just clean up this a little bit. And yeah, ultimately that's a pretty big, you know, that's a pretty big point right there. And 16-hour coming down, you know, nothing looking too hot right now. Also, I do have an Ethereum short in currently. That's been pretty stagnant, but I think it's going to do better relatively soon and hit first take profit relatively soon. Like I mentioned, those trades are in the Discord, so check it out if you're interested. And Blood Diamond confirmed in the 2-hour, doesn't mean too much, but ultimately, when you look here, I mean, this spiral line I think is significant. I think we're going to retest that. The other thing too is essentially, well, I wanted to show you just on Bitcoin quickly here. This right here, look, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 4th bottom. If we come back to this area, I kind of don't think you're holding that big support. I think you're going to come down farther. That's ultimately what I'm looking at. Like, you know, 5 times hitting the bottom? Yeah, probably not. So anyway, moving on in that. Bitcoin dominance, you know, what can we see here? If we really, you know, see the floor come under us, and I believe FTX too, they're going to let a lot of people start to withdraw. I think that's coming pretty soon. Let me know in the comments if you guys know about that. That could be a lot of sales for altcoins, for crap tokens. So, you know, this could jump up a bit. This could kind of continue to break upward. Once we get to these mid-50s, that's the real place where I'd be looking to start kind of accumulating altcoins. That's ultimately what I'm holding off for now. Don't think it's the worst possible place as long as you're buying things that aren't going to end up going to zero in the long term, but I'm still a little hesitant on altcoins. I think October to March is going to be that kind of sweet spot, ultimately. So yeah, if we look at total 3 minus tether, if we break down from this area, you do have a technical target, 120 billion, pretty low. I drew some lines of, you know, support, historical kind of support. That's a big drop down. Now that's 50% drop down. That's huge. Now, the altcoins that survive may not drop down a full 50%. They could drop down 40 or 30 or something like that. I think that's likely. Some of them could drop down, 50. If you're dropping down more than 50 for a lot of these alts, it's going to be on thin ice. It's going to be tough to survive. Let's look at just look at Cardano a little bit. Did have a really good short set up that I'm actually in right now for this, which I do think has a good shot. A little bit exclusive on that one, but you know where to find it. And it's ultimately, if you break down from this is the major area, you're kind of losing it right now. This is the fourth time or almost fifth time you're testing with wicks down. If you don't jump here, man, I think that, and then yellow X, I think that you're going to potentially, if we look from this kind of area here, you're looking at potentially going down to 20 cents here. Especially if Bitcoin goes down to 23K, 21K, those lower areas, you're potentially really looking at coming down farther. So that's what we got to be careful with. We got to keep that in mind here. So yeah, and yeah, so there's not too much hope there. Solana, I want to look at quickly. Same thing. We're just at major areas for everything, but it's not looking too promising. Capped RSIs right here in the weekly, potentially to come down lower. I'll go through this briefly. We're almost losing that area, and this is kind of forming. Same thing kind of on, it's like a weird, head and shoulder type thing maybe. You break down from there, your next point here is going to be a bit lower, around 18 bucks. So that's what we're looking at for the next kind of place here. I would say this market generally seems more bearish. Talking about the bullish case briefly, it's not impossible for some of these trigger waves to bring us up higher. It's not impossible to come back up to low 26s, maybe even jump up, scare a lot of people off at 27 or something. But ultimately, I think that we will lose this major support, and that's going to be a big kind of breaking point in Bitcoin in this kind of, pre-accumulation year, pre-halving year. Here we didn't really break. I'm looking at these EMAs here. We didn't really break too much when you came down in December. But yeah, as we come down in the coming months, you'll see a lot of these in the gray. I think these EMAs and market set for A. Last thing I'll talk about right now, the DXY. Obviously, Bitcoin doesn't tend to do well when this is pumping. Did do okay in part of 21 while it was pumping, but into 22, this was kind of just straight up for most of the year. That was around when Bitcoin bottomed in October. So generally, this thing does not, this thing jumps while Bitcoin goes down, looking like you may come up farther. Your weekly is not looking ideal, but everything else looks pretty good, such as your monthly, such as your 2 week here. So a lot of things do look very good, and I think you potentially could pump up to 108, and Bitcoin coming down to 21K eventually into the end of the year. You may see this at 108. 109 into the end of the year. So that's ultimately what I'm looking at right now. The last thing I want to show you guys, let's do a little, some people ask me about oil, Occidental Petroleum. Some of these are interesting. This is the one that Warren Buffett owns a lot of. 2 week doesn't look good, but your weekly coming back into the green right there. Also, when you look at the monthly, green hike and ashes, looks like you want to come up farther potentially. I think oil's got, similar to 2022 for at least part of it, oil, if we look at USO as well here, oil's got a good into part of 22 while the S&P 500, while Bitcoin went down, this had a good jump up. Had a good jump up, and you could repeat something like that, maybe even make a higher high or something into the end of the year, and that puts the Fed in an awful position. Interest rates got to rise more. Things could get ugly, man. I don't know. Fed is going to be in a tough position. Anyway, guys, you guys are interested in the Discord, check it out down below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Goodbye.